Oh, yes, guys, back for another USMNT Top 10. Happy Veterans Day weekend. Happy Diwali to all my Indian friends. How's everybody doing on this fine weekend in which our usual stalwarts did not show up for a variety of reasons? Injury, being benched, form, etc. But in their absence, many others did step up, both at home in the MLS playoffs and abroad. What's up, guys? How are we doing? Steven Berger. I always thought Luna looked like a 30-year-old in construction with a baby knee, with a bad knee. Sup, Pete? BMR, how are you? A lot of chatter about Diego Luna here. Finally starting to really step up and deliver in MLS. 4 goals in his last 5 games. Trying his darndest to drag RSL through the playoffs. And very nearly did it. What's up? Been up and down just like Americans abroad, says Judgmental Deity. The story of life. The story of life, Judgmental Deity. As soon as you fully accept that life is a series of up and downs and you just kind of embrace the adventure, gets a lot easier to handle, right? J. Crew, Jeff Carey starting the spiciness early. How about that PSV goal, says BMR 209. Quite a goal. Dest deserves 80% of the credit for that goal. But it's good to see. All right, Sunday. Anyone see any new movies? Marvels came out last night. Didn't it come out on Friday? Did anyone seen that? I heard the reviews were terrible. I did not watch the U17s, James. As much as I love watching our youth national team play, I also value my sleep, and it kicked off at 5 a.m. for me. Walter. Hey, Pete. Lozano and Jimenez score. Gross. Riri, I'll say this. We should want Mexico to get better. Because for better or for worse, we're stuck in a confederation with Mexico and Canada and Jamaica and Costa Rica and El Salvador and Panama and Honduras and Suriname and Curacao. And, you get the picture. The better they are, the better for us. Because it's not fun just wiping the floor with CONCACAF teams over and over again. And it's not good for our development. And it gives us a false sense of where we're at. It gives us a false sense of certain players who can maybe hang in CONCACAF, but really aren't USMNT level players, right? So yeah, honestly, I'm getting to the point where Mexico are down so bad. I'm actually happy when they have a few guys. I mean, right now it's Chucky and Santi kind of holding the fort. Jimenez hasn't scored for 6 months or more, right? Let's see if this kid Fidel Barajas becomes, playing over in Charleston Battery, I believe, is where he plays. All right, at least Panama getting better. Are they? I mean, Carrasquilla is a very interesting player. I don't know if they have enough talent across the board for me to say they're getting better. All right, let's get started with the top 10. And you'll notice a theme in this week's top 10, guys. A lot of Olympic eligible players. Okay? All right, first up, Caleb Wiley for Atlanta United, right? Played 90 minutes in that 4-2 win over the Columbus Crew. It's the third game in the playoff. Starts in like 2 hours. So after the stream is over, anybody can check that out. Atlanta versus Columbus. One will go through. I'm rooting for Atlanta, but time will tell. Played 90 minutes, got 1 assist, 0 out of 1 accurate crosses, only 1 out of 4 accurate long balls. Not sure which of these crossing stats is correct. I believe 1 out of 2 accurate crosses is the correct one. 2 out of 3 ground duels won and 1 foul drawn. Now, this performance from Caleb Wiley wasn't terrible. Probably would not have made it into the top 10, except that it was a quieter week. So this was the assist to Almada. He got the ball in midfield. He's an interesting sort of left back, Caleb Wiley, because oftentimes he will underlap, as it's called. He'll drift inside and help create from there. And then he slid in Thiago Almada, who did the rest. Almada, ran straight for goal and tapped it in. Some terrible defending from Columbus on this sequence. I mean, look at the spaces they have here in transition. But good for Wiley for making that pass, and good for him for getting that assist. We will see tonight who goes through. Tell me in the chat who you think is going through, Columbus or Atlanta. Who do you want to go through? Personally, I want to see Miles and Wiley, so I'm hoping Atlanta go through. Number 9, more former U20 under 23 eligible players. Jack McGlynn, I'll never let go, Jack, played 82 minutes and had the assist on the lone goal of the game. Philadelphia won this game 1-0 thanks to Jack McGlynn's set-piece assist. Other than that, he had 5 key passes, 5 out of 12 crosses, which gives you an idea of where he was playing. 12 crosses. He was cheating heavily to the left in that Philadelphia Union diamond. And 4 out of 6 long balls. S27 says, Ireland will call him up. We shall see. Hopefully he shall not follow in the footsteps of traitor to the flag, Noel Buck. Loyal to the crown, our very own Benedict Arnold, Noel Buck, who was defeated by the Patriot, Jack McGlynn. All right, this was the free kick assist. Nice to be honest, I don't know who set up this back line for New England because they just let, Donovan just drift in there. Whew, bump, easy finish, 1-0. They still have one more game in this series. All right. 8 is Rokas Pukštas, yet another U23 eligible player for Hajduk Split in the Croatian League, who, by the way, are 5 points clear in the table, right? 5 points clear. Played 90 minutes, scored a nice goal, 2 out of 4 accurate long balls, 1 out of 5 ground duels won, 1 out of 1 aerial duels won, and 1 foul drawn. This was the goal. Cross came in, was just in front of him, poorly marked in the 6-yard box, and used the outside of his left boot to flick it into the goal. Well done. He was injured for the first few months of the season, so it's good to see him back and playing well and contributing to, Hajduk Split and probably win a trophy at the end of the season. Already 5 points clear at the top of the Croatian league table. And usually Hajduk Split is not considered one of the, the title contenders. It's usually like Zagreb. Okay, so well done to him. Oh, look, yet another Olympic eligible right back this time. Bryan Reynolds. He was on this top 10 last week after he won that penalty in Westerlo's 2-0 win at ÖH Leuven. And yesterday, he got an assist in their 3-3 draw with St. Truden. Played 90 minutes, got 1 assist, 2 chances created, 2 out of 4 successful dribbles, 2 interceptions, 2 recoveries, 2 out of 5 ground duels, 1 out of 2 aerial duels won, and 1 foul drawn. Now, Bryan Reynolds, for me, had a poor Gold Cup. Okay, not Zendejas poor, because he did have some good moments, and he was certainly better than, try hard, run fast merchant DeAndre Yedlin. But for the talent that he has and for the ability that he has, I thought Bryan Reynolds was poor. That being said, he's still young. He's still 21. He's probably pushing for an Olympic spot. And, contributing meaningfully to their attacks. He's kind of moved away from playing as a right back. He plays as a wing back now in the way that Westerlo are set up. They play like a 3-5-2, 3-4-3, 3-4-2-1 hybrid formation. And so in that formation, he's able to get higher up the field a lot more and contribute to their attacks, which I think will only mean more goal contributions from him as Westerlo continues their push to not get relegated from the Belgian league. I will say, though, if he continues, Bryan Reynolds, after this season, I'd like him to push for a move in a tougher league, possibly the Eredivisie, because I'm not sure that he's going to really improve much more staying in Belgium for 2 years. This was the assist. Now, this is the final moment of the assist, and as always, guys, the full highlights will be on Patreon tomorrow. He actually beat his man here for speed and then cut it back for his teammate to score. So well done, Bryan Reynolds. Now, Weston McKennie did not contribute to goals against Cagliari in the Scudetto fight for Juve, who are now second in Serie A, despite Allegri terror ball. But he really had a very good game. And if you look at these stats, this is why I always caution people about FOTMob, because these stats do not actually, demonstrate the kind of game that he had, in my opinion. Okay? According to this, played 90 minutes, 2 out of 2 accurate long balls, 1 out of 4 ground duels, 0 out of 2 accurate crosses, 0 out of 2 aerial duels won, and 2 fouls committed. If you look at those stats, you go, oh man, McKennie played like shit. But if you watch the game and if you talk to people who watch the game, you'll be like, no, he actually played very, very well. He's a real threat, especially in transition, his natural pace, his natural explosiveness, his energy, his strength. He had a really nice sequence, which I will put on the Patreon, where he was on the, sort of on the right-hand side, on the right channel. Long ball comes to him, takes it down on his chest before it even touches the ground, pops it in the air around his man, takes it, continues, puts a cross in, doesn't quite reach Moise Kean. It's headed down, and he rushes just on the edge of the box to volley it towards goal, and it flashed just wide. But boy, if it had gone in, it would have been a sweet, sweet, beautiful goal. And the build-up to that was truly magnificent. But he was everywhere on the field for Juve. I thought he had a really, really good game. And that's great to see for our boy Wes. Number 5, not committed to the USMNT yet. But like we did with Fuller and Balogun, when there was reports of commitment or reports of interest, as well as communication with him, we will continue to include him here until he fully commits to Italy, and then we can, let him go. But so long as he is eligible, we will keep him. Played 80 minutes against Arsenal. 1 goal involvement, 7 out of 10 passes. So, let me finish this. 1 out of 3 successful dribbles, 2 out of 4 ground duels won, and 0 out of 5 aerial duels won. He didn't have a great game apart from his goal involvement, okay? Tomiyasu should have done better to just clear the ball. I think he tried to hold off Koleosho in that run, but Koleosho did a lot of good work. Tomiyasu tries to hold him off and ends up falling. He picks up the loose ball, rushes towards the box. Here's the actual sort of breakdown of it. This is once he got it. As you can see, Tomiyasu flat on his stomach over there on the touchline. He cuts it back. Shot was blocked. It pops back out, and then they finish it. So he was involved in that goal. Sadly, they went on to lose that 3-1. I mean, it's Arsenal at the Emirates Stadium, and Burnley are last in the league right now. So Koleosho actually did not have a great game. Apart from this moment, he was poor. But that being said, he's 19. He can certainly improve. He's got pace. He is a guy that I think would add value to our program. I don't have him as a starter over Weah or Pulisic, but I do have him as potentially certainly the third winger off the bench, right? If one of them is injured or unavailable or having a bad game or you just need some fresh legs, then you bring on Luca Koleosho. We need better wingers, and Dejas, Paredes, Aronson. There's some interesting, none of them really scream, you can rely on them. Paredes is still young. Aronson's been terrible for a long time now. Zendejas had an awful Gold Cup. We'll see what he looks like in this camp. And even if he plays well in this camp, let's face it, it's TNT. Anybody in that roster should be able to handle TNT. So I will say, for those who actually watch that game, Koleosho was not great for good stretches of this game. And I think 7 out of 10 passes can tell you just how involved he was, in that game. But kudos to him. You're involved in a goal against Arsenal and had a big hand in helping to create it, so you make it on the top 10. Let's see what he does in the future. Number 4, Diego Luna from Real Salt Lake. Had 2 games this week, both against Houston Dynamo in their playoff run. And unfortunately, it ended yesterday. That being said, the first game against Houston Dynamo, he did convert the winning penalty on Tuesday in order for RSL to stay in it. And then yesterday, played 90 minutes, scored a great goal, a headed goal, 2 chances created, but it was his overall performance that for me was much more impressive than his goal. His goal was the equalizer to keep RSL win it. And yes, his penalty was saved. It wasn't the greatest penalty, but overall, on the balance, I will say he had a good week. Okay. 2 out of 4 successful dribbles, 2 out of 3 long balls, 8 out of 17 ground duels won, and 2 fouls drawn. And like I said earlier in the stream, The guy's got 4 goals in his last 5 games for RSL. Now, they're still not using him correctly because this is MLS and because we still like to put creative attacking midfielders in wide areas because we don't think they hustle enough. We don't think they win enough duels in midfield. We don't think they are going to get after it in the good old-fashioned American style, which we borrowed from the English in terms of our soccer culture. But it's good to see that even though he's being misused, and to be fair, he does cheat inside a fair bit. He'll drift inside. It's still not an ideal starting position for him, in my opinion, on the left. I think he does need to start more centrally and higher up the field. Some of the stuff that he was pulling off against Houston yesterday was Reyna-esque. There was one moment where he received the ball near the touchline, cut through 2 defenders, and then slid a really nice through ball through for Julio, and Julio couldn't do anything with it. But there are some really quality moments like that he's really starting to show, and not just that, but delivering in terms of box score. That consistency is what we were looking for from Diego Luna because, talented-ass player, but if people remember, not so much in the Under-20 World Cup where I thought he was quite consistent, but last year during the CONCACAF Under-20 Championship, he had some games where he was unplayable and some games where he was just, he would go missing. So him developing that consistency and being consistently good has been good to see. Sadly, we won't see any more of Luna till March because, now it's time to have the 6-month MLS offseason. I'm kidding. It's 3 months, but still. We're not going to see Luna. Maybe January camp. In fact, I'm going to go on a quick January camp rant, okay, after I show you the goal. That was the goal he scored. Great little cross. He drifted inside, and instead of just trying to head it straight towards goal, he headed it down, and it bounced up and out of the goalkeeper's reach. So well done to Diego Luna. January camp should not be the scrubs. January camp should be the Olympic eligible players that have quality, specifically the ones who play in MLS. Like obviously, Bryan Reynolds will not be able to come because he'll be with Westerlo. Okay. But who can come? Chris Brady can certainly come. Maybe a guy like, if Bryan Reynolds is not there, maybe a Mauricio Cuevas, a Jalen Neal, a Caleb Wiley, a John Tolkien, a Obed Vargas, a Diego Luna, a Jack McGlynn, a Brian Gutierrez. These are the players that we should be bringing to January camp and giving meaningful games together instead of wasting more. Ben Kremanshi, Noel Buck if he decides he doesn't want to be a Benedict Arnold anymore. Bernard Kamungo potentially as a guy that, starting to show some things for Dallas, right? We don't need to see Walker Zimmerman, Christian Roldan, Jesus Ferreira, Jordan Morris, Paul Arriola, Jackson Ewell, Aaron Long, Miles Robinson, none of these guys. Please. It's a fucking waste to bring these guys. They are not USMNT quality. They never have been. Stop trying to prop up MLS by giving them fake caps in fake camps to try to pretend that they're USMNT players when they are not. Yes, Jalen Neal as well should be there. No, I shan't chill, Jeff. I shan't. All right, let's move on to third. Joe Scally for Borussia Mönchengladbach has been much maligned this season. Okay, hang on. S27 says, to be fair to Miles, he's not as bad as those guys. Did anybody just watch Miles in this Columbus game that Wiley played in? The first goal that Columbus scored, he was supposed to be marking, I think it was Cucho. And Cucho receives the ball, turns away from Miles. Miles doesn't even try to stop him, and then he goes and scores. Okay? And this has happened too often in MLS, but it doesn't get enough scrutiny. Why does it not get enough scrutiny? Because he doesn't play in Europe. Because USMNT fans aren't watching these guys play. Right? And even Atlanta fans know that they've seen this with Miles. And if you want to call in about it and hit on me, that's fine. We'll discuss it. But Miles makes too many mistakes in a pedestrian league for me to be, the fact that he's considered with the A team when he really hasn't earned it is something that sticks in my craw. Okay? It really does. Because, Austin Trusty is starting in the Prem. the toughest league in the world. Does he made some mistakes? Does he look fully comfortable? No. I would argue he actually looks as comfortable as Miles in MLS, the Mickey Mouse Disney Celebration of Soccer League. Okay? So Miles, for me, and I'm glad he's going to hopefully do this, is leave, go to a good club, and prove that he can do it at a high level. Because right now, he's not even that sturdy in MLS. He's not. So why he's on this roster, is it a nod to MLS? Is it Berhalter continuing to be stubborn? I don't know. But I think he's got a lot more work to do to convince me. And I think people think Miles is good when he's really not. All right. So Joe Scally has been much maligned. And fairly, he's had a poor season for the most part. He's had some personal life issues that have hampered him for sure, but he was really good against Wolfsburg for the most part. Had a clean sheet, played the 90 minutes, got 1 assist in the final goal, 1 out of 2 successful dribbles, 4 out of 7 accurate long balls, 3 out of 3 tackles won, 2 clearances, 4 out of 6 ground duels won, and 3 out of 3 aerial duels won. So those stats are very, very good, and they do back up what happened. This was the nice goal in transition. Smart goal to cut it back instead of just try to put an aimless cross at the back post. Cut it back, and then bam, goal, 4-0. Well done, Joe. Well done, Joe. Why did Ferreira not get called up to the Nations League? Is he injured, or did Triple G finally get the message? Mega Monster, we all hope it is the latter. We all hope that Greg has finally understood. He was injured. So if he wanted to call him up, he couldn't have. But that's 3 camps now that he hasn't been in. And to be fair, once again, Ferreira ghosted in the playoffs after ghosting numerous times for the U.S. against teams not, located in the Caribbean. All right. Malik Tillman versus Pek Zwolle. Played 20 minutes, got 1 goal. It was a nice little finish from some excellent Sergiño Dest work, and only won 1 out of 3 ground duels. Other than his goal, he didn't actually do that much. But all that being said, on a slow week, he gets into the top 2. If you play 20 minutes and score a goal in a top 6 league in the world, that was the finish. To be fair, it wasn't a tap-in. It was slightly harder than a tap-in, but still a good finish. Well done, Malik. Let's talk real quick about Malik. Malik has 5 goals and 3 assists in 572 minutes this season for PSV Eindhoven. And that's 1 goal contribution every 71 minutes for them, right? In a tougher league than he played last year at Rangers. Now he's got real competition there with Gustil and Saibari and Bakayoko and Lozano. Now Bakayoko and Lozano do play in wider areas, but good for him. He's stepped up. I said many, you guys remember this. I said many times last year, I didn't want Malik to stay at Rangers. I didn't think he would be pushed enough in the Scottish League, except twice a year when they face Celtic. Not enough for me. To be fair, there are teams that really don't push him that much, and Pek Zwolle is probably one of them. But their Champions League run, potentially Europa League run, if they can, hang on, as well as 6 to 8 teams will actually push PSV and, make him better, and he'll have to deliver. So there's consistently more accountability for him and a lot more competition if he plays poorly. You play poorly like you did against Ajax, you'll be benched, and then you've got to earn your way back. And he started on the bench in this game, came on, scored a goal. Probably could have been a little more effective in other moments, but, he's going to have work to do. Hopefully he can continue to earn that starting spot. But this is what Malik needed. He was too comfortable at Rangers. It was too easy for him because there was no serious competition. Apart from a bunch of Scottish runners. All right. And last but not least. Yes, and no more oversleeping, says the ATL guy. Sergiño Dest from PSV Eindhoven. Okay, had 2 good games. First, in midfield. Played 90 minutes, at left back. Played 90 minutes against Long. By the way, it is pretty clear that he has usurped Patrick Van Aanholt at the left back position, which is no small feat, right? And he isn't even really a left back. He's right-footed playing at left back. Played 90 minutes, 1 clean sheet, 1 out of 2 accurate long balls, 0 out of 1 accurate crosses, and 3 out of 5 ground duels won. What I liked about that game against Lens, which they won 1-0, and that was huge for PSV to try and at least get that Europa League spot, that third spot in the group. I don't think they're going to get top 2 because their next 2 games are Sevilla away and Arsenal at home, but you never know. But he was really sharp defensively and really switched on defensively in transition, tracking his men, marking people at the far post. He was really, really switched on, and that was good to see. Against Pek Zwolle, obviously the defending was there, but it wasn't as necessary. But look at those stats. Played 79 minutes, got 1 assist, and boy, what an assist it was. The clip will be on Patreon tomorrow. 3 out of 3 successful dribbles, 3 out of 3 accurate long balls, 1 out of 5 accurate crosses, 5 out of 6 ground duels won, 0 out of 1 aerial duels won, and 2 fouls drawn. So a lot of really good stuff from Serge in that game, which is good to see for him. And for us, hopefully he will continue to, progress and make strides and leaps and bounds. This was the assist to Malik there. And that just shows the end of it, right? It doesn't show the incredible run. It was actually Malik laid it off to him first. Then he played a quick 1-2 with De Jong and then slid Malik through. And then Malik was able to chip the keeper. PSV American takeover. Good or bad thing? Good thing, Yama. Because they're all playing well. I hear this a lot from people. Let's talk about this for a second. If you say, this player should go there, and people go, oh, no, he can't go there. We already have too many Americans at one club. Look, if they're playing well, it doesn't matter. They will be welcomed with open arms. Fans of clubs are a lot less anti-American than people think, right? Can they potentially blame Americans when things go bad? Yes. But if you go there and you're playing well, look, all 3 signings, Malik Tillman, Sergiño Dest, and Ricardo Pepi at PSV have been a success. I know Pepi's been on the bench, but as their backup striker, 4 goal contributions in what? Not even 200 minutes, probably. That's a successful sub striker, and he's only 20. Malik Tillman, we already talked about his goal contributions. Sergiño Dest has mostly been very good for them. So long as you're playing well and contributing to the team, they're going to love you. Look at Tim Ream and Anthony Robinson over at Fulham. The fans love them, right? Tim Ream especially, they love him. And it's the same. Pulisic at Milan, they're loving him. Like if you go there and play well, you could have 11 Americans. They won't care. They just want to win. They just want to win. So good for them. This, I think Richards probably is going to be, it's either Richards or Robinson going to PSV. For me, it depends very much on what happens over at Crystal Palace. If Mark Gahey gets sold to Tottenham this winter in January, then I want Richards to stay. If Gahey stays and Anderson also stays, please leave. Go to PSV. And then, I don't know, I don't know what Miles is going to do. Join LAFC maybe. See who gives him that kind of money. But yeah, like it's again, I don't think you can have too many Americans so long as those Americans are playing well, right? I mean, there are lots of teams in the world with 3-4 Argentines, 3-4 Brazilians, right? 3-4 Frenchmen, 3-4 Brit. Nobody's out there going, oh, you have too many Frenchies. No, because they're good. So it's not so much about Americans. It's more about, are they good enough for that level? Can they be a contributor at that level, right? Richards going to PSV seems like way too big of a step down. I actually agree with you, BMR. It depends. If PSV make that Europa League spot, then it makes more sense because PSV are a team that could potentially compete for the Europa League title if they can shore up that back line. So that could be interesting. I would prefer Richards to go on loan to a Bundesliga team, and then Miles can go to, PSV, and we can see his true level. Okay. I think, Miles might be way too reliant on his speed. But you know what? I mean, look at Austin Trusty, right? 6 months training with Arsenal, a year in the championship. You can get better. Now, Miles is 26, right? So he's entering his prime now. And I still think he has a lot of convincing to do to convince people that he is a USMNT level player. I do. And I know not everybody agrees. The MLS shill still love him because he's the last hope they're holding on to. We have this one guy. And I'm sorry, I don't care. Either you're good enough or you're not, right? So if he goes there, we'll find out pretty quickly if he's good enough. But the evidence we have on him in MLS is that he's a limited player. And I don't think we've never seen Miles outside of that Ghana friendly. We've never seen Miles outside MLS and CONCACAF. And so I'm hoping that a move will at least show us who he is, right? Pete, who's the best looking guy on the USMNT? Oof, that's tough, man. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Everybody's got a different idea. I think it'd be a better question for a girl or a gay dude. Miles was so dog shit versus Columbus. Dude just let Cucho Hernandez score. Thank you. That's what I said. That's what I said. Not to mention what Leo Campagna did to him or other MLS level players have done to him this year. If you can't even be a rock solid defender in MLS, you are not USMNT level quality. Sure, you might look good against Trinidad and Tobago, but then you're just CONCACAF merchant. All right. All right, guys. Let's find the call-in show. Call-in show time. We have one guy. Oh, no. We have like 5 guys waiting. All right, guys. We're going to... 3 minutes is the recommended time, so try to keep it punchy. I won't enforce it strictly if it's moving, right? Pete, are you going to do a preferred camp cupcake roster? I already did one. I already did a camp. Oh, camp cupcake. Yeah, maybe in December or something. I'll do that. Is the roster for Olympics already chosen? No. That won't be chosen for a long time, Tiago. We have Olympic camps coming. So those are, but it's going to continue to evolve as we head toward the Olympics next August. Pete, talk about your 3-2-3-2, the 3-5-2. I talked about it already, Jeff. Talked about it already. It is, it is what I want to see with no wingers in this camp. No true, really strong wingers in this camp. I want us to try that 3-5-2. But before we do that, let me just drag the Discord onto here. Yeah. I love that you can see all the Discord chat when I pull it up. All right. So who do we have first? We have Matt. Hey, Matt, you're on the air. Hello?
Hello, Pete.
Hey, how you going? How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. First time caller?
I've been listening to the show. I'm sorry?
First time caller?
Yeah, first time caller, but long time listener. I've been watching your videos since you had the COVID mullet and the yellow background and your thumbnails. So
wow, long time, man. Long time. It's been It's been more than 3 years.
Really love the channel.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Anyways, my question was about the US potentially leaving CONCACAF in the future to join with CONMEBOL, and how, do you think that being in CONCACAF we kind of have like a glass ceiling, like we're not getting enough competition? I mean, I would say the competition is pretty good right now with Canada and Mexico, but as we just continue to get better and better, we just may leave these teams in the dust. What do you think about that?
I mean, I would argue we're already better than both of them pretty significantly. And
right,
I don't think the CONCACAF, I think CONCACAF is getting better. Some teams are getting better. Like Costa Rica used to be kind of a powerhouse, and they've really, dropped off. Mexico is probably the weakest Mexico I've ever seen. Canada is definitely better than they've ever been, for sure. But, they're really very reliant on 4 to 5 players. And if they don't have those, they're extremely average. Panama, they have a good direction they're heading in, but the lack of talent is hurting them. Jamaica, they're Jamaica is one of those teams you never know what you're going to get. They have talent, and now getting Damari Gray, I think, will really help them. But I'd argue that we're already above CONCACAF, and I know that's crazy because we can't win away in CONCACAF. But I'd argue that Burrow is actually holding us back. I don't think we're ever going to merge fully with CONMEBOL. I don't think that's going to happen.
And why do you think so?
Well, it would require FIFA to, seriously consider that, and that's.
Do you think the club situation is the biggest obstacle, the clubs and the travel?
I mean, that's one big
for
but I'm more thinking about the.
I mean, Asia has. Right. I mean, Asia already has Asian Champions League, and they play from Australia to Japan to the Middle East, and that's even more travel. Yeah. And I feel like they could to replace that. Let's say the travel was too big of an issue, they could like have like everyone have play their seasons and then like have a like our Champions League or Copa Libertadores like after the season, like in a host country.
Well, I like what they're doing
Do you think that
now
could work?
with the whole, you know, Copa. It's not Copa Libertadores. I guess it is
Mhm.
kind of Copa Libertadores. They've got some teams from North America, some teams from South America. They're trying to do more. I mean, for me, I would be happy with just Copa America. If we can participate in Copa America every
Right,
4 years, plus obviously you have the World Cup. That means every 2 years we have significant competition. The same way that South America and
right.
and Europe do. And then we can send under 23 teams or B teams to the Gold Cup.
Right.
So I would be happy
Because
with
how good
just
can
that.
Costa Rica, Honduras, Panama like ever really get? Like they have a small population, and I think Panama and Costa Rica soccer is not even the number one sport. Like their
They are limited.
potential is not very high to even ever be
Yeah. And
a great
there's
soccer nation.
it's also the lack of development, right? And the corruption in the
Right.
federation. There's a lot of different things that plague a lot of these smaller
Mhm.
nations. Costa Rica just got Gustavo Alfaro. He was the former Ecuador coach. So that could be quite interesting for them if he picks the right guys. But yeah, I mean, Costa Rica has 2 or 3 interesting young players, but nobody, I think
That's still not enough.
not nowhere near enough. Mexico is like, who's the next generation of Mexican talent? Like, it's getting worse, not better for them. That's what's.
I mean, every time they have a new youth squad come out, like for the younger generations, it's more and more MLS players.
Yeah, and
Too
some of
on their
them
squad,
are,
on their youth
like
squad.
Fidel Barajas might be an interesting prospect, right? We don't know
Right.
what he's going to turn out to be, but
Right.
After Diego Lainez and Marcelo Flores, it's like, well, it's hard to start hyping up these kids because they seem to be flopping a lot.
Oh, they will. They'll hype them up anyways.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, to answer your question, I don't think a full merging is ever going to happen, but I do think us participating in Copa America and not in the US, like I'm fine with it this one time because we're hosting, but let's go down to let's go play in Bolivia. Like, let's go play in La Paz. Let's go play in Uruguay and like, we need to get away from home and get out of our comfort zone and go into these really tough environments. This business of CONCACAF being tough away is like, it's difficult.
No, it's not.
It's nonsense. It's fucking nonsense. Like, I can make
There's
so
there's
mad
more
during World Cup
CONCACAF-ness
qualifying.
than CONMEBOL.
What?
There's just as much CONCACAF-ness or CONCACAFing, whatever they like to say, like about crazy
Or
stuff
more.
that happens even more in CONMEBOL.
Plus, you have
but with quality.
With real quality.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even Bolivia, they're an awful team, but they play at like 12,000 feet. So you've got to like, So yeah, I mean, I would love for that Copa America. And then there's the Copa, I think it's called the Copas. It's not the Sudamericana. I think it's the Interamericana. Here we go. BMR has it.
Is that like the Europa League of South America?
No, it's sort
of. Is that what that is?
It's a made up competition, but it's designed to try to get, us playing more and more with, some of these teams. I am going to have to let you go though, because I got a couple of guys waiting.
All right. Thanks for taking my call.
No worries, Matt. Thanks for calling in, bud.
All right. Thanks. Have a good one. Bye.
AJ, what's up, buddy? Hello? Hello? Did we lose AJ? You there? You're on mute. You're going to have to unmute yourself.
Hey, Pete, can you hear me?
Yep, now I can hear you.
For sure. All right, so last week, actually, before I start that, how's your day? How's your day been, bro?
It's been good, man. It's been good. How's yours?
It's been good. Just got back from work, and I got round 2 later on today. So, I'm trying to get that money.
Yeah.
Yeah. So last week, I was on here, and I asked you if I was crazy for saying Diego Luna should be on the roster over Aronson. This week, I'm confident saying I think he should have been. Ever since the playoffs started, Luna has not gone in his flame has not gone out. And so I genuinely think that with Aronson out of form, it's not like he's been out of form for a month. He's been out of form for like the better part of a season and a half. And I like Aronson. I like his hustle. We all do. We all love the fact that he just doesn't stop running. It's fun to see.
Do we love
But let's
that?
be honest,
I don't
man.
love
Like,
it. I don't love it because it's the only thing in his locker.
well, yeah, I love seeing it because it's like, damn, bro, like this man never stopped. It's kind of entertaining and like, damn, you really don't stop running. I'm impressed. But also, can you like make a forward pass at some point, please?
Right.
So,
right.
But yeah, no, like ever since the playoffs started, man, Diego Luna has been on fire, and it's like I felt crazy saying it last week. This week, I'm confident. It's like, you know what? I think he should have been here. I'm not saying we need to be calling 20-year-olds from the MLS to play for us. I'm not saying we're at that point anymore. But let's be honest, he's performing, and we don't have any wingers other than Aronson, Zendejas, Paredes, and if you want to get down bad, Ariel is injured. Never mind. But never call him again, please.
Yeah, look, I mean, you're right. Your case is getting stronger for sure. And yeah, I mean, look, Aronson is at that point where it's just he's hanging on simply because of the lack of options. But I mean, Luna's not a winger, right? To be fair, neither is Aronson really. Yeah, but you can definitely make the argument Luna would actually be more effective as a super sub than Aronson would. And he's really starting to show it, not only in MLS, which obviously you have to take with a grain of salt. It is MLS, but obviously in the playoffs, there's more stakes and it matters a little bit more. It's why we hate Jesus Ferreira, because he can't even show up when it matters in MLS playoffs, whereas Luna has been. Is it maybe a camp too early? Perhaps, but I probably wouldn't have hated seeing him there. He definitely has the profile that we want. So yeah, I mean, what's going to be fun is really Luna's going to be fighting for a spot behind Tillman. For me, it's Luna, Paxton, and Guti fighting for that number 10 behind Gio and Malik Tillman. And we have a lot of guys in that spot now, so it isn't going to be easy. Can some of them play wide? Guti can, Luna can. They all can. It's probably not their best position. Yeah, I mean, you make a good point.
I'm not, and look, long-term Luna is a midfielder, right? Like his profile, his skill set, everything screams midfielder.
I would argue he's a midfielder now.
Well, I'm saying that he could play winger, and I think we should explore that option of him playing either on the left or on the right. Because the good thing is that technical players can play like in multiple positions, and Luna is a technical player. And look, like I said, the USA is not at a point where we need to start playing kids, right? Again, right? But it worked when we played the hot hand when Pepe was scoring in MLS.
Well, also,
I don't see why it wouldn't work for him.
20 is not a kid. 17 is a kid, right? In the professional game, particularly for attackers, 20 it's young, but you're not a kid. Like, so, I mean, I think whether they're a kid or not, if you're good enough, right? So I think, yeah, like I said, I think you're making your case is getting stronger. And yeah, I mean, Aronson is status quo. Aronson is the perfect Berhalter player, right? Not a lot of skill, but boy, does he run. I bet you he knows all the PowerPoints. He's probably great with his eyes and vibes. He helps the other players pack their bags at the hotel. You know what I mean? Like he's like the Roldan Areola, except slightly better. Not slightly. Let's be honest.
But let's be honest, Pete. We're getting away from Berhalter ball is the problem. And that's going to be a big issue for those who knew the system, right? Because the system is slowly getting eradicated because, hey, guess what? The fans were right. Pete Filippo and straight red card. They were, hey, they're not toxic. They're just correct. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah. So, before I go, I think us getting away from Berhalter system is gonna decimate a lot of credit for the Berhalter players that played in that 2022 World Cup cycle, that were there in that Gold Cup run, all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's all I have to say.
Cool, man. Well, thanks for hopping in. Appreciate it.
No problem, man. I hope you have a good week, all right?
Yeah, you too, man.
Next week,
good luck with work.
Same time next week, brother.
All right. Sounds good, brother. Have a good one.
All right. You too.
I can't wait. Hang on. What did I do here? I can't wait for, them to tell us that we're toxic for not wanting Aronson on the team. Art Olivia, what's up?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Perfect. Nice to finally talk to you, Pete. I really appreciate you doing these call-in shows because I've really enjoyed them the last few weeks.
Oh, dope.
My question is related to Roman Celentano from FC Cincinnati. I wanted to pick your brain a bit about him. I'll preface this by saying I'm a huge FCC fan, former season ticket holder. But from my perspective, Celentano is right now like at best fifth on our depth chart when it comes to goalkeepers, behind the Nottingham boys, Calendar and Slonina. But I think he has a lot of potential personally, given that he's still very young. He's in his early 20s. That, like a lot of Generation Adidas players, unfortunately, he has developed well as a shot stopper, but not really well with his feet, in my opinion. But I'm wondering, what do you think of him now when he plays, and what do you think his future should be or can be?
Yeah, I mean, I've been a big Celentano fan since actually after the World Cup. I was the one that was advocating for him to get that call up in that January camp. He didn't get any minutes, which I was disappointed to see. I don't think Celentano has been as good with Cincy this year as he was last year. I thought him and Brandon Vasquez had really breakout years in 2022, and 2023, that level has dropped a little bit. Vasquez is 25. That's a different story, but Celentano is still young enough that it could just be a blip. I mean, if you're an FCC fan, he's made some mistakes this year. And the lack of ability with his feet.
True.
The lack of ability with his feet is a problem. For me, I have him and Drake Calendar in that same category, as like they might end up being the Sean Johnsons of, this next cycle, where maybe make a third choice, be a third choice goalkeeper at some point. Probably, though, if you look at Gabriel Slonina, Chris Brady, and even more so if he continues to develop, Diego Cochin, long-term, I don't see any of those two really becoming, like I said, maybe a third place, like a roster goalkeeper or a cupcake goalkeeper. But it also depends. I mean, Slonina or Brady or Cochin may not live up to their potential. It happens. So, I think keep grinding, keep hustling, keep working. Matt Turner was nobody when he was 24. You know what I mean? Like, that's the truth.
Yeah.
So if Celentano's 24 now, Matt Turner really didn't break out in MLS even until he was 26. So, I think I would work with his feet as much as he can. I don't, since he doesn't play out of the back too often, they do sometimes, but not always under pressure. I would say just keep hustling, keep grinding, and there's something there, but can he improve? Can he get better? Can he push himself? Maybe leave MLS one day, the way that Turner did.
Yeah, no, I kind of agree with that train of thought. I think when it comes to his like fast twitch shot stopping ability, he's really good, honestly.
Yes.
Like one of the best in MLS right now, even though he's very young.
Yeah.
I think his ability to read and position himself still needs work, which obviously comes with development.
Yeah.
One thing that gave me a lot of hope was if you watched the last FCC Red Bulls playoff game.
Yeah.
Red Bull was super high pressing the entire game, and FCC was forced to play out of the back. And there was several times actually where Celentano made some actually pretty decent passes, short passes under pressure, which gave me a lot of hope. Yeah. His problem is his distribution wide or long is very poor. Like half the time when he kicks a long ball, it's going to go out of bounds.
See, I'm not as worried as much
pressure
about their long balls. I think we overvalue that, to be honest. I'd be more interested is, can he play with the ball under pressure and be like a third center back with the ball? That's more important to me than can he find somebody with a long diagonal. Occasionally, look, that's important, especially in transition. But I'm more interested in, can he be an extra man to play, right? And so that's really what he needs to work on. And that's what both Brady and Slonina have been working on a lot this season, so he can't fall behind.
Yeah, exactly. And because we play throughout the back, I feel like FCC just isn't the best developmental role for him right now and what he needs. Granted, I love him because I think he's a good goalkeeper for MLS, and I'm glad he's here for our playoff run. But I do hope that in a year or two we sell him to Europe, especially since we signed him to an extension this year.
Yeah.
So I hope he goes somewhere, maybe Eredivisie, maybe Bundesliga even, and
maybe another 6 months, and then in the summer he goes to Eredivisie or something, or Championship.
Yeah, and FCC is kind of unique in a way because we have actually backup in Alakan, who hasn't played a lot this season because Celentano kind of unseated him, but he's like a a starting quality goalkeeper too. So
Yeah.
No, I appreciate that insight. If you had a choice, which where'd you like to go? Europe?
I mean, I love the Eredivisie or Belgium as a development leagues for guys, as an interim step, because they play out of the back. They're very focused on technical development. So I would, if I was him, go there, stay a year or two, and then at maybe 26, 27, he gets that bigger move to a top 5 league if he's ready and if he has that quality,
Yeah, kind of like following Slonina type development.
Sure.
Since
Yeah. Real quick before you go,
I
do you think Cincy can win MLS Cup?
I did before Miazga made an ass of himself the last game.
Is he banned for the next
I really
game?
think he is. So I'm not. If you watch the game, and I rewatched the penalties actually because it's kind of hilarious, except for our account. He had 1 yellow the first game, and then in the second game he went the entire 90 without getting a second yellow. Then after our goal got disallowed at the end at the death, he got into a yelling match with the referee and got a second yellow for dissent, which is understandable.
Yes.
But during penalties, he was making heart signs at the New York Red Bulls supporter section.
Yeah.
And the referee interpreted that as egging them on, so he gave him a second yellow during penalties.
Yes.
So that was his third yellow for the series. So he got banned for the next game. He got the accumulation.
And the next game is a one-match knockout, right?
It is.
Who are you
and
playing?
Against Union.
Against Philly? Yeah.
Yeah, against Philly, yeah. And that's the problem where
Philly beat you last year, no, in the playoffs?
We did. It was a very close game,
Yeah.
but like this year, I think we tied both our games.
Yeah.
It's been very close, and like Miazga's been. I mean, I know he's not a USMNT quality center back, but he's been our best center back this entire year. Him and Mosquera, but he is the rock of our back line, and without him, I really feel like Philadelphia's going to pick us apart. Unfortunately, I hope not.
Find out.
We'll see if we can get past Philly. I'm sorry, what?
I said, yeah, I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, I guess we'll find out. If not, I think if we can get past Philly, I think we'll win it all. But we just need to win the next game.
I've wanted to visit Cincinnati for a while, so if they make MLS Cup, I'm going to try to attend. I'm going to try to come to the city because they're going to host, right?
They would, yeah,
They would
because
host.
they won the Shield. Yeah, I'm biased. Obviously, I'm from Cincy. It's an amazing stadium. I think it's the best atmosphere in the league right now because of how intense the year's been. Plus, we've been starved for 3 years in a row, so we really want a winner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they deserve it. I think it's a very good atmosphere there, and the fans have showed up even when Cincy was terrible.
We are nothing but dedicated. We're long suffering when it comes to Cincinnati sports. If you do come to Cincy, I'd recommend Taste of Belgium. If you like waffles and chicken or chicken and waffles, they have great beer and great chicken and waffles.
Okay. Sounds good. Thanks, man.
So, just a plug.
All
Thanks
right.
again. Appreciate it, Pete.
No worries, man. Have a good one. Have a good rest of your Sunday.
You too, man. Bye-bye.
And last but not least, we have Mr. President himself. President Chip. How you doing?
Good, P. How are you today, man?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing good. Hey, just to let you know, I have some bad news for you, man. You're not going to get to go to Cincinnati because Atlanta's making MLS Cup representing the... No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to say anything.
I mean, I would go to Atlanta for MLS Cup, too. Like, I've not been to so many MLS stadiums. I've been to both of them in Chicago, Soldier Field and Bridgeview. I've been to both LA teams, and I've been to Toyota Stadium in Dallas. I think that's it. Oh, yeah, and I'll be going to the Austin Stadium for this USMNT game. But that's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6. I guess 5 if you count Chicago as 1. So, yeah, Atlanta for sure. I've always wanted to go to Mercedes-Benz. That atmosphere seems fun. Cincy for sure. What do you think of Miles Robinson? You're the one that didn't like him last week, right?
I was the 50-50 one.
You were expressing reservation
when I saw
for sure.
Yeah. So just giving my opinion on him real quick. let's just say I was on a call with a few of other Atlanta fans. We were watching the Columbus game. When we saw that absolute, I don't even have words for it. When I saw Hernandez just do that to him, man, we were quiet. The next 10 minutes of that call, we were just silent because we didn't think that could happen to him, even though it had happened to him. Like, for me personally, I can't speak for everyone else who was in there, but for me personally, this has happened. That was not the first time Miles was basically owned by an MLS attacker that ended up resulting in a goal. But every time it happens, it's just like, how? This man has played with the national team, won the Gold Cup with the national team. He's considered to be good enough for the A team, but when he's playing in Mickey Mouse League, he just does. I'm sorry to cuss here, but he just some dumb shit.
Yeah. No, and that's why I think there needs to be more focus, because I don't think MLS media ever talks about this. Like, if John Brooks makes a mistake, or Anthony Robinson scores an own goal, or Austin Trusty gets torched by Eddie Nketiah, it's a topic of discussion, right? When Miles does it, because nobody's watching Atlanta except for Atlanta fans, in the USMNT, universe, it doesn't really get discussed enough because a lot of USMNT fans don't watch MLS. So I think it's important to bring up and to highlight, because MLS is very low level compared to where most of our guys are playing. And if you can't even look like a really strong standout there, and you're making those kind of elementary errors, then it's fair to question your spot in the national team.
Exactly. And another reason might be, and this is more like just to poke towards the MLS fanboys, I think they're holding on because they realize that Miles is the last hope for MLS. MLS is on the U.S. national team at this point.
Yeah, and if he leaves next month, then there is no more. Although they might get Ethan Horvath.
There is no more, yeah. You think you think Ethan Horvath's going to Atlanta?
I mean, I don't know if he goes into Atlanta. I'm guessing. So I do know that he's leaving in January. Berhalter essentially confirmed that in his last press conference. He said his situation will be sorted out this winter. So he could be going to the championship or maybe the Eredivisie. I don't know where he's going. But I think MLS is an option. At this stage of his career, he was a backup in Belgium, backup in England. He finally got that 1 year at Luton Town. But, I mean, he's 28.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, do you want to take another risk? Or is it maybe just time to come home?
Yeah, and I watched that Luton Town match. Like, I was excited for him. And then he just went back to being a backup again. And now he's at Nottingham, basically running away the bench. And like I told you, after the Brad Guzan news came out, I don't know if he wants to come to Atlanta, to be honest, man.
Is it confirmed that they're signing him for another year?
It's basically like one of those rumors that it's a rumor, but it's like a pretty like strong rumor. Like it's a 99%. Yeah.
Yeah, reason.
And the people I heard it from, and it was a couple media guys.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say is the reason why I'm saying that also is because I heard the people that I watched it from, these guys, they work like they're in the media field. They have strong connections. So I'm not really like, in terms of questioning their word, not much to question, unfortunately. So I think Mannequin Man's coming back, man.
Oh God. See, this is like I said, reason 4,763 to not take MLS seriously when they keep doing stuff like this. It's very hard to take them seriously. Awesome.
And the to move on here, the Luca Koleosho question.
Yeah.
I think I don't know if it's been covered here yet, but he's called up to the U21s for Italy, right?
Yeah.
Okay. How do you in terms of the chances of him coming to the US, how badly do you think that affects that? Really bad, or like?
I don't think it changes anything. I think the under-21s is the under-21s. Okay. Like, we're offering him a spot in our senior team. Yeah. They're offering him an under-21 spot. My only concern would be it's November. The next opportunity we have to call him up is March. So in that time, if he really improves and Italy calls him up to our senior team camp in March, he might go, wow, I think he's got the U.S. as like, that's an option, but I want to wait and see if Italy will give me a senior team spot. And I think by March, if they don't give him a senior team spot, I think he might be ready for us. Sort of like Balogun,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I think and like we've said, this is perfect with our current situation on the wing, and in terms of the depth there, it's perfect.
Yeah, I mean, we need it. We need
So
more depth. We need more quality.
yeah,
You know.
yeah, and I mean, look at the situation we're in with our two Pulisic and Weah are out. Look what that caused.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're like changing formations, back three. Well, real quick, what do you think? What formation just that comes on top of your head? What do you think we should do for
In this camp,
today game? Yeah,
3-5-2. Pepe and Balogun up top, Serge and A-Rob as wingbacks, Reyna, McKennie, Musa in midfield, back three, CCV, Richards, and Ream.
yeah, that's what I go for my back three as well.
Yeah.
Of course I would. If John Brooks was there, I'd probably put in Brooks, but
Yeah, well, Brooks has been
he
benched
might
at
never wear the
Hoffenheim
US
now, so the Brooks agenda
Yeah, I
might
feel good about that.
be taking too much of a hit at this point.
Yeah. Speaking of Bundesliga, so I actually was like I've been questioning this for like the past week now, because there is that thing where it's like PSV and the connections between Richards and Miles. If let's say PSV keeps Miles, right? They stick with that plan. So Miles goes to PSV, and Richards, the Anderson, who's the other guy's name?
Gahey, Mark Gahey.
Mark Gahey. So let's say Gahey and Anderson stay at Crystal Palace, but that PSV spot is no longer open. Which Bundesliga team do you think? Not only do you just want to see Richards at, but also like would fit him the best?
Hoffenheim could be very interesting, especially now that they've benched John Brooks. And then he'd be working with Matarazzo. He played at Hoffenheim already, so I doubt they may not want him back. I don't know. It's like, I think Stuttgart could be very interesting. They're trying to stay in the top four, but they look pretty solid defensively too. So, honestly, if realistically, he'd probably have to go more to like a Werder Bremen or a team like that. That's maybe on the lower tier, lower end, trying to stay up, which would be fine by me for 6 months if none of them leave. Go play in the Bundesliga, get regular minutes, show that you can continue to play, to ball. Why not? Stuttgart could work. I just think they have a very strong, solid defense already,
Yeah, and how does Jordan Pefok been doing? Have you been watching those Gladbach games lately?
Yeah, I've been watching the Gladbach games. He was doing well, and then he got a groin strain in the last game, so he didn't play today. It was like just as he's starting to make that comeback, he gets injured,
Yeah, and that actually leads perfectly into my question, because John Brooks and Pefok, I don't think obviously they haven't been with the national team, I think for the same reasons, but they haven't been with the national team. And there was a point where it was like they were going to play a huge part going into the World Cup, I think, by with that First Nations League. And now we're here in 2023 and they're just like not even considered. Do you think either one of them will ever wear the US men's national team jersey again in a competitive, or just in a match, friendly competitive match, whatever?
I think Pefok is maybe possible, more realistic. I think Pefok is still in his mid to late 20s, whereas Brooks is, I know he's not old, he's 30, but after all the Brooks talk, now he's been benched at Hoffenheim. So, and it does seem very, very personal with Greg. I think it's over for Brooks. Pefok depends. If he comes back, he's a starter for Mönchengladbach, so he'll always have the opportunity. He's demonstrated he can be effective in the Bundesliga, even if he doesn't really fit the style. But if you have an injury or two, I still think Pepe, Sargent, Balogun is the top three, and everybody else is fighting for fourth. That's Haji, Pefok. To be honest, it's really just those two right now, because I don't think Ferreira or Vasquez are in the conversation anymore at all, and shouldn't be. So
yeah, even if Vasquez gets a move.
Yeah, even if he gets Vasquez has had one good season his entire career. Like, let's be honest. This last year, he's got 7 goals. Yeah. That's not good enough in MLS to be even in USMNT consideration. And he's not young. He's 25. He's got technical limitations. I don't know if he's really going to get a Bundesliga move. I would be very, very surprised if anybody thinks he's a Bundesliga level player, because I don't. He's had one good year his entire career, and he's 25, and that good year was in MLS. So I'm not so sure about him. We've all seen more than enough of Ferreira. So So it's really outside of those three, our option, it's slim pickings. It's Pefok and Haji, and I don't think either of them. I mean, like occasional call-ups, without if there's injuries, but not really the future,
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, Balogun, Pepe, everybody else fights for third.
I think Sargent is above those guys personally. But Sargent keeps getting injured.
Yeah, he keeps getting injured, and he's very I feel like he could be like a not exactly like Jesus Ferreira, who's definitely not a striker, but he's played everywhere. Hasn't he played everywhere with like he's played in left mid with the club name
Norwich, yeah. Yeah, no, he has played, but the reason he played in all those spots is because they already had a striker. And he's looked best for them since their striker left, right? Since Pukki left, he became their 9 and was crushing it. To me, it's a testament that even pushed wide or pushed as a midfielder, he was still able to deliver. And he was on track to hit 20 goals this season before he got that injury. But again, I think his ankles are weak because remember, he stood on the ball in the World Cup, rolled his ankle again. His ankles seem to be the things that always come back for him. So fingers crossed he stays healthy. But a healthy Josh Sargent, as he was showing, for the last year and a half, is very, very good as a striker. Not world-class good, but I do think he's our clear third choice.
Yeah, no, especially after what he did in the World Cup. I can agree with that.
Right.
And real quick, because it just came up to my mind. Do you think MLS, because this is our domestic league, right? Inter Miami, you know who they're bringing in. They have Suarez. They have the, Barcelona boys.
Yeah.
They're looking to bring in, they have rumors of, a bunch of other guys, which, take that with a grain of salt, all that. It's I doubt it's going to happen, even if there's a salary increase. Do you think well, I'll give you my opinion real quick and I'll ask for your thoughts. I personally could see how this could go bad for the league because if you have, even if it's only for 3 seasons because these guys are old, if you have the MLS become a one-team league and have Miami win every piece of silverware there is to win and just thrash teams home and just we know how bad MLS defenses are. Just score 4 or 5 goals every other match. Couldn't you see how that could hurt the league?
Yeah, but the league is more interested in dollars than long-term success. It's a very, the only way the league can combat this is to say, yeah, let's open up that salary cap and let other teams also spend. That's the only way to combat this, to have more competitive teams. And there are lots of teams that are chomping at the bits to do it. Atlanta, LAFC, Seattle, Toronto. There are lots of teams. It's absurd that all these guys can go to Inter Miami, but Columbus Crew was not allowed to have Lucas Zelarayan and Diego Rossi. MLS was like, nope, sorry. How about 2 good attacking players playing together? Wouldn't that be fun? No, not allowed, right? So MLS needs to spend this winter asking themselves, and they should have asked themselves this a long time ago, but it is more pertinent than ever. What do they want to be? Because bringing in Suarez and Messi and making Miami a cash grab team that travels, and now they're just playing friendlies, trying to make up excuses to get Messi on the field so they can sell tickets and concessions and TV money. What do you want MLS to be? It's time to loosen those purse strings. It's time to let the teams that want to spend. It's time to have better quality across the board for all MLS teams. And if you're shit at, if you're a quote unquote small market team, you can still compete because you can still keep the salary cap reasonable, right? But the idea that somehow all of these teams, we're going to have super teams is just not true. What we'll have is a lot of teams that spend well and use the salary allocation money well, and teams that don't, like we have in every other league. But you're 100% right. If they bring Suarez, what is Miami going to look like? They probably need to bring in another good center back, to be honest. But if they do, they could be a difficult team to face. And I do think long term, but they have to open it up. They've got to open it up to everybody. Everybody's got to be able to spend this kind of money, and it doesn't need to be all these aging DPs. I kind of thought we were done with that, to be honest. Now, was I happy to see Messi? Yes. I was happy to see Messi, but it's becoming a little bit too like, yeah, let's get Carlos Puyol out of retirement. Can David Beckham suit up again at 52? You know, because you know what? People might watch it. They might come to see David Beckham if we can get him. You know, it feels very amateur. Messi was one thing. To me, the rest of this is becoming Saudi Arabia. You're just signing names, you know.
Exactly. And what makes it double frustrating, like you've touched on there for a second, is this league making the MLS building a strong, good league is a big step and a big part of having the U.S. men's national team be one of the best teams in the world. You can't have that if you have a trash domestic league. That's impossible. You can't.
Well, okay.
In my opinion.
Define trash, because there are plenty of teams with terrible leagues like Argentina. The Argentine league is better than MLS, but not much, to be honest. Not by much. It's better because there's more stakes. But in terms of quality of play, it's better. It's not so much better. And they had no problems winning World Cups. The Brazilian league is definitely better than MLS. But I don't know if you need your league to be, it can't be trash. I agree with you. I don't know if you need it to be a top 5, 6, 7 league in the world to win the World Cup. Because
but we most certainly.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. We most certainly can't go back to this retirement. Let's buy a couple of names to getting some attention for 2-3 years league. That's just ridiculous. Like, I thought we were way past this.
Yeah. What you need is a league that's very good at development, right? Like, judgmental deity here saying Croatian league is meh, but look at them, right? So, yeah, there are teams like Belgium. They don't have a great league either. It's better than MLS, but they were really good for a while at developing players. That's what we need. If MLS becomes a development league, that's fine. It's never going to become a serious league, though. If it's just, in the U.S. is not going to take MLS seriously if it's just a development league. They have to become a league that actually wants to compete.
Yeah, and when I'm criticizing the MLS, I mean that like with the youth development as well, because I think our youth development is still not that good.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with you. I think we're in a golden age now of dual nat recruitment, combined with a few players who have stood out. But overall, our development is getting better than it was. Still a long way off to where it needs to be, though. Long way off.
Yeah, it's definitely people who say Josie Altidore supporters. I'll call them that because he said that in his like CBS Sports interview thing. That the 2018 thing, you know, that us missing the World Cup, quote unquote, needed to happen because it helped our development. And it's like,
it didn't do shit.
Did it? Did we change? Did we change from that? I don't think we did.
We were actually already improving in terms of some of the kids. What really was not missing the World Cup, what really started to happen with MLS development was kids stopped signing with MLS teams. Okay. So Uli Yanez and Alex Mendez at the Galaxy were examples. Sebastian Soto, Taylor Booth, and Richie Ledesma at Real Salt Lake. There were a bunch of teams that their youth players just walked away. Weston McKennie over at FC Dallas. There's a bunch of teams that they just left. They were like, nah, I'm not signing a pro contract with you because you're holding me hostage and you're not going to play me. And notoriously, MLS teams would not play young players. So it was all kick and rush. You know, we need veterans and grinders. So then what happened was MLS realized we have to start playing our kids and developing them and giving them opportunities and then selling them. Otherwise, they're not going to sign with us. At least if we do this, we'll sell them, we'll make a little money. So that's what helped. It was nothing to do with missing the World Cup. Josie, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He's to me, he comes across as Landon. Bitter, you know, always saying dumb things. Like he's been kind of on the last 2-3 years, he's been kind of weird calling Greg Berhalter the devil. You know, like when Berhalter like left him out of a roster, he's like, don't listen to, he said Josie was injured. He's like, don't listen to anything they say. The devil's working overtime. I don't know, man. For me, Josie's never really owned up for what he did. He was a big part of that Cuva failure, and I'm still irks me.
Oh yeah, he was. Yeah, and something tells me this man does not think he had any negative contribution. Like he does not have any blame for that.
No, I don't think most of those guys think they have no blame. I think Michael Bradley still doesn't think he has blame. I think a lot of those guys are like, it was unfortunate what happened, but I don't think a lot of them have ever really owned up to it. That's why when people were calling for Michael Bradley to get a testimonial, I was like, fuck no. Can we keep all of this failed generation of guys away from our young ballers? Like, I'm sorry. No, stop. Like, yeah, let's get Landon and Clint back. No, why? They can go play in a charity league. Like, get out. Your time is long over.
Yeah, I don't know why some people like say, yeah, bring this guy to retirement. Let him play MLS, do all this thing. Like, what? Like, I'm surprised at this point they haven't recommended to bring Pele back from the dead to have him play in MLS for 2 years.
You know what?
Or something
If
like
MLS execs could find a way to do that, they probably would. And they'd come up with a new rule where he plays each game for a different team,
They just get his corpse out and then just de-age him back to his 20s.
Yeah, they get an AI thing going, and they just mechanically get him going.
Have him be U.S. men's national team, so have him be a U.S. citizen, so he's eligible for the national team.
Exactly.
Oh man, it's let's just pray for better times, Pete.
Yeah.
I think that as my final mention, because I see ATL guys waiting. My final mention is this about MLS national team in total. We're heading in the right direction. I know it's like with this, it seems like we're holding backwards. I think we're going in the right direction. We'll continue. I strongly believe that we'll continue with the development, growing the development in the nation overall, and I think it's going to get better.
Yeah,
I really do think the U.S. national team will be able to compete for World Cups. Maybe not this time. Maybe not in 26, 30, or even 34. But
yeah, I think it's definitely trending in the right direction. I think youth development is still a concern.
Yeah.
I think if we want to compete for World Cups, we need to start developing world-class players, and we don't have any history of doing that. Like, there's just no evidence that we can develop a world-class player. Maybe recruit one, but even then, recruiting might be tough because if a world-class player, if we recruit them, they might want to play for their first choice. So that's the biggest thing for me. It's the same with Japan. Japan's probably better than us at development right now, certainly technical development. Japan doesn't have a world-class, even one, and you need several to win a World Cup. So at least several, and they need to be surrounded by elite players. So yeah, I think that's the next step. We want to win a World Cup. We're going to need to start developing, a Kylian Mbappe or a Luka Modric or, a Virgil van Dijk. Like, that's the level of players we have to start developing, and we're not there yet,
Yep, and that was President Pete speaking facts. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't subscribed to 11 Yanks, subscribe. Thanks for having me on, Pete.
No worries. Thanks for hopping on,
Have
man.
a good day.
All right, last one.
Yep.
We got the ATL guy. We got to keep this quick because my voice is going. Guys, smash the like button if you haven't already. ATL guy, what's up? What's your name?
My name is Jack.
Hey, Jack.
I called in maybe a couple shows ago. I don't really remember.
Oh, okay.
I made you the MLS commissioner.
You made me. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay, I remember you now.
Yeah. Okay, so with Inter Miami increasingly becoming more of a a circus.
Yeah.
It seems like they're just calling back every Barcelona player possible.
Yeah.
I know this is like a ploy for MLS to fine-tune the market, but you would think, right, that if you expanded the cap just a little bit more, that you would have some teams that would be consistently more at the top, therefore more marketable, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know, like, it's just kind of like a weird thing with some of these owners, because I know that several of these owners do want to spend money.
Yeah, a lot of them do.
Yeah, because some of them also have NFL teams. So there's that.
Yeah. Like, I know the Arthur Blanks of the world. I know that the people at LAFC, even at the Galaxy to a degree. I know Seattle. I know, NYCFC. I know Toronto. Like, a lot of these newer owners are interested, Miami definitely, in spending. But we're still being held back by the Stan Kroenkes of the world, right? By the, whatever his name is at New England, the Patriots owner, Bob something or other. Like, there's a lot of those older owners that still own teams and want us to be mediocre and small. And, it's a nice little tax deductible. Evaluation of your team continues to go up. by, through artificial inflation, because you create a closed off league. And so, you increase the value in those leagues because you can't get relegated, and because, these teams, people keep willing to pay into it. So, your net worth is jumping significantly. There's lots of reasons that MLS owners have these teams, but they're just not really interested in growing them. So.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just very odd. Because it also goes against our mentality as Americans,
Yeah.
We want to be at the best at everything, but
Well, also we're capitalist as a country, but when it comes to sports, we're very communist. It's true, right? We're like, okay, we need to have a salary cap. Nobody can be better than anybody else. Everybody has to be the same. All right. If you're bad, we have to find ways to make you better. If you're bad, we give you rewards. Like what? That doesn't exist in any other aspect of American culture except in sports. We decided that socialist, communist ideas are the way to go, which is fascinating to me.
Yeah, I will say that baseball is a little different, however, because yes, you can have your first round pick, but that guy's not going to be ready for another 5 years. So those don't really matter.
Yeah.
And also baseball doesn't have a hard salary cap either.
Right.
It's soft.
Yeah.
So they have those tax brackets.
Yeah. Baseball's got other problems though. They've got just being a boring sport that's stuck in the past problem.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's my favorite sport. So.
Okay. Sorry. I like playing baseball. I just can't watch it. It's snooze fest and too many commercials.
Maybe you should watch a game now. They sped it up a little bit.
I'm good. I might watch the Atlanta-Columbus game. Keep an eye on Miles and Wiley and whoever else.
Yeah. The only thing I'll say about the Miles, him getting beat by Cucho, it doesn't help that Guzan is ankle at all.
I don't know that that's on Miles though. How does that help? Why does that make Miles worse?
It doesn't, but I think it helps with the perception that he might be doing worse.
No.
Because he gets beat.
Okay.
I don't know.
I don't want to be harsh. For example, take that Cucho Hernandez goal this week. That was nothing to do with Guzan. That was Miles. He was tight to his man. The guy skipped away from him, and he barely hung a leg out in the air. He didn't even try to block the shot. And Cucho's no world-class player, right? This guy couldn't make it in the Premier League. So that's not on Guzan. That's on Miles.
Yeah. From what I remember, Cucho didn't roof the shot. So that's why I'm thinking Guzan should
Guzan should have done better on the goal. But the fact that he turned Miles so easily and Miles didn't do anything to stop the shot, that's on Miles. Yeah. Should Guzan have done better on the goal? Yes, but that doesn't change the fact that he allowed him a free shot on goal through some terrible defending.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if Miles will be getting the move to Europe.
I mean, he's going to be moving. Really we don't know where because he declined to sign with Atlanta. Yeah. So he could stay in MLS still.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the only reason PSV is really looking at him is because of Ernie Stewart.
And free.
Yeah. I mean, no, I just don't think they go for it because there are Americans that are better.
Yeah, Richards, the other report is they're going for Richards, which I think obviously that's a better defender. We all know that.
Yeah, but I don't know if Richards is willing to take that move though.
If he's not playing, he might do a 6-month loan. If he's not playing.
Yeah.
It depends. For me, it depends if they get Europa League. If they get Europa League, it becomes way more interesting now.
Yeah. All right. Well, Chip is not waiting, so I'll let him.
Yeah, no worries. Chip has been on already. He's good. But thanks for calling in, man. Appreciate it, Jack. Jack, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome, man. We'll have a good rest of your Sunday, okay?
You too.
All right. Last one, Julian Vivas. Do you think Rokas Pukštas will transfer to a top 5 league soon? To me, he will be part of the USMNT sooner rather than later. I hope so. I think, he probably needs a full season under his belt with Hajduk Split. And then after that, let's see where he goes. But I think maybe not a top 5 league. That's a big jump from the Croatian league to the top 5 league. But maybe the Netherlands or Salzburg, somewhere like that. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging. This was fun. We always go over. But hey, Anybody want to check that out? Atlanta versus Crew. This is the deciding game. Somebody will get knocked out. I'm going to use it to keep an eye on our boys. Have a great rest of your Sunday. And yeah, I'll talk to you all soon.